Hello and thanks for tuning in to the video portion of the Career Tech Podcast. I'm Ryan Roten, your host, and in this video, I continue my conversation with Honey Patel from Career Companion. Career Companion is an all-in-one career management platform. Believing that you need to own your own career, Career Companion encompasses everything that you need for complete career management. From defining your brand to tracking performance reviews and even designing your overall career, Career Companion has thought of it all. It's pretty exciting stuff, so stay tuned for a complete demonstration of Career Companion's product so that you can get started designing your ideal career. Welcome back to the Career Tech Podcast. This is the demonstration portion of today's episode, and I am on video here with Honey Patel from Career Companion, and Honey is going to now walk us through what you'll see when you log in and get an account set up on Career Companion. And you can get there by going to careercompanionship.com. Honey, welcome back. Let's go ahead and dive on into the demonstration.
Thanks, Ryan. So let's get started. There's a lot here. And so I'm going to kind of breeze through some of these things. And then there's a lot more that you can learn about on the site. And you can always feel free to reach out to me from the website, and happy to set up a one-on-one time to go through it more.
Perfect.
So let me just kind of start with, this is your home base, right? As soon as you log in, this is like your little dashboard that kind of guides you where to go. I've categorized everything into 4 sections. So explore are all the things to figure out what you want to do with your career. Growth, there are things like to help you grow in whatever path you choose. Job, this is all about job search. And skills is all about skills and growth, right? They kind of go hand in hand. I do have in Career Companion a pre-configured list of tasks that you should do when you sign up for an account, just because there's so much to do. And also there's a little task list. So as you're managing your career, you can manage your career tasks in here. So a perfect example is define your elevator pitch. And there's a tool that helps you do that. So that's an example of a task. If you click on this little icon here, it takes you to a part of the site of the actual marketing website that tells you like, okay, what exactly are you trying to do? And then it'll give you a little guidance on, depending on where you're at, what you should go do.
Okay.
This part I love. So I know sometimes many people are like, I just want to focus on one thing. So you can click on this little dashboard and it'll give you into like this awesome visual, which you can change in the settings, the background image, and you can say, you know what, today I just want to define my vision statement. And then that would become a task for today. So this was just to like help you focus on one specific thing and not be bothered about the task list and all the other modules. So you can do that.
That's pretty cool. It's very easy to get distracted during the course of the day
Yeah.
and forget what you wanted to actually accomplish.
Right. And one task, right? I intentionally made it so that you can only do one task here, because you should focus on one task at a time.
Yeah, smart. Otherwise people would list 26 things up there.
Exactly. So then you can flip back into the modules. So let's start with, I'll try to cover one in each section. So let's start with answer career questions. So this is where you can actually take the time to answer like fundamental questions that you should know about who you are and what you want, right? So you'll see I've answered who I am, what does success mean to me, what do I like to do in my free time, what do I like? And there's like 100 plus questions here that you can choose from. Again, you can do this on your own time. You can write an essay, or you can write just a couple of sentences, but this is really to ground yourself, right? Like you can be like, what bores me? What am I passionate about? What are my skills and gifts? What is my work style, right? And you can add your own questions, and then those questions are available for you, and you can just start typing what bores me, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I love that because it's very simple why I love it. Most people don't know.
Right? So
Most
like I
people don't
mentioned
know
earlier, doing the same thing again and again bores me.
yeah, they can't articulate that, right? And yet it's so important to know and understand that when you're choosing where you're going to go next in your career.
Exactly, right? So you should really, really take the time to answer. And I would say like every 6 months or so, take like maybe 30 minutes and answer like 5 to 10 questions, right?
Yeah.
It's a form of just being in tune with yourself and who you are and what you want, which is a starting point to driving your career and managing your career.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. And I like even the skills and gifts question. Actually, I like a lot, all of them, just simply because it makes
Yeah,
me
and there's
think about things
and
that I've
another
never
thing
thought
is you
about before.
can, if you don't like any of the questions we have in there, you can add your own.
Okay. Okay.
So you can, really like go to town with this, and
Sure.
just like it's a way of just better understanding yourself and what you want and who you are.
I like it.
All right, so that is career questions. So let's talk about goals a little bit, right? Goals are so important for career development, and you have to, they're usually your like postmarks or milestones to help you drive that career happiness that you're looking for. And so in this module, again, very simple, same way, we have a list of goals in here. You can be like, you know what, I want to read more books and articles. I added this on April 27th. And when I edit it, you can say it's in progress or I've been achieving this. And then you can give yourself a deadline of when you want to do this by. And
Mhm.
so very simple. Once you're done, you can just mark checked and it goes into your achieved category.
Oh, nice.
And so again, goals, what you want to do and what you've achieved. Again, sometimes people don't realize a goal is not just I want to get a promotion, right? There are so many different types of goals. Learning a new skill, being a mentor, actually mentoring someone. And so again, there is like a 50 plus goals that we have in here for you, and you can add your own, and you can just use this as a simple system to help you manage your goals and what you want to do.
Yeah, I like it.
So that those are your career goals. So what I mentioned earlier is reflecting on your career, and so this is one of my favorite things. So reflections, and there are so many different types of reflections, right? There's stories. Sometimes you just want to vent because something bad happened. Sometimes you have a great idea. Sometimes you had an important meeting. Sometimes you made an important decision. So this is a place where you can do that. It's a little bit different from career questions because those are specific questions. Think of these as like stories in your career, right? So I can be like, you know what, I have an idea, and I can add in an idea that I have to build this awesome product. And you can add as many as you want. You can get rid of them by just trashing them,
I
and you
like
can
the venting.
add. Yeah, and the most important thing to add here, I would say, are feedback. When you get feedback from people,
Mm.
you should really document that and understand it. And so, like for example, feedbacks that I got a while ago was like, hey, just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean someone else is passionate about it, right? So try to understand if other people are equally passionate before you ask them to like drive something or lead something, right? And that was amazing feedback by a mentor of mine. So I added that in, and this is something that I would have remembered anyways, but I may forget as I'm learning more things. But when I come back to this, I remember when I see it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So let's go to becoming a better communicator. So what I really did here is I wanted to help. One of the most fundamental things of like your career and just like your day-to-day life is communicating. And people really have to put some time and effort into how they communicate. And I wanted to give them some guidance. And I learned a lot of this from Toastmasters because I attended Toastmasters for a couple of years. And so what you can do here is you can be like, hey, I'm giving this important meeting or a talk. And you can first provide a description of what it
Wow.
is. You can figure out, okay, what is the date and location I'm doing this? What type of format is it going to be? What is the audience? What is the stage setup? And then you can take notes about what you're doing. Then you can actually prepare the content. So you can prepare text point by point, like, okay, here, I'm going to start with talking about my childhood in India for about a minute and 45 seconds. And you can edit
Oh,
this
wow.
and you can be like, you know what, actually, I'm going to spend 2 minutes on it. And then you can put in some notes about some nonverbal communication you may want to do. And
Wow.
then you can actually build out your content, and it'll give you the total time that you have, how many sections you have. You can be like, you know what, I actually want to talk about growing up in Chicago first.
Hmm.
So this helps you build your content out, and you
Yeah.
can be like, you know what, I actually want bullet points versus you can actually write paragraph. And so people are different, right? Some people like to write out the content and then that's how they practice and communicate. And some people are like, you know what, I just want talking points. So this is like my talk that I'm going to give, and here's a story about me, and these are my talking points. First, I'm going to talk about my childhood in India, then I'm going to talk about growing up in Chicago and Boise, then I'm going to talk about living in the Bay Area for the past 10 years.
Hmm.
So you can develop your content for an important meeting or a talk that you're giving or anything where you're communicating. Then you can practice and you can be
Nice.
like, you know what, I'm going to be talking on stage. And so it'll give you a stage and it'll give you your talking points.
That is slick.
And then you can use text or points, just like how you, in the content, you can build text and points. And then you can start a timer so you can track yourself. And it goes backwards so that you know how much time you have left. And so you can really use this to build like a pitch that you're giving to an investor, for interviews, for talks, for meetings, whatever it is that you're doing, to just really prepare well for communicating effectively. And then when you're actually presenting, you can go to the presentation mode, and instead of having index cards, you can just pull this up on your phone and then have the talking points in front of you. And you can start the timer, so when you're on stage, you're effective about using your time.
That is very slick. I like that.
Yeah, so this is like much more of a like using it on an ongoing basis for managing your communications, right? And I highly recommend people to use this for like the important meetings, for anytime you're doing a speech at work or a talk you're giving at a conference, right? This will really help you be super structured, be really prepared, be on time, and seem like an expert.
Yeah. Well, and it also allows you to see how your thoughts come together.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is, I would say, my favorite module. I know I've said this like 5 times now.
I think they're all your favorite.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to this job CRM. So this job CRM is like your funnel, right? So just like at a company in sales, you have a funnel, like the leads that you got, the people that you're talking to, who became your customers, and then actually managing those customers. This is the same thing, but for the jobs that you have, right?
Okay.
And so during your job search process, you can track what are the companies that you applied to, then move them over and be like, okay, what are the companies I'm interviewing for? And then you can move it over and be like, where did I get an offer? And then where did I ultimately get the job? Right? So it gives you a visual representation of the jobs that you got. Now, here's my experience, right? These are all my real jobs that I've had. And so let's click into one. And this is, think of it as a CRM, just like how in sales, you have a Salesforce as a CRM. Mm-hmm. Same thing there, right? So you can track 3 things. One, you want to track the ultimate, like, what is the role? Where is it? What is cool about it? You can add compensation information. So you have all your comp info in one place, like, okay, what is the base comp that they're giving me? What are the equity information? What are the benefits? And then just like how reflection is important, everything, reflection is also important in interviews. So you can track how many interviews you had. So you had an interview with someone. When was it? How did you feel about it? And then how did the interview go, right? What excelled in an interview, and what were things that you think you need to work on for future interviews? And so you can track how many interviews, including application info, right? Like, recruiter called me for this job, and that's how I got it. I didn't apply for it, right? So you can track all this information before getting the job, right? And you can simply just click add interview, put in the date, put in the interviewers, and then just add all that information in there. Again, it feels like a little bit of admin work, but when you go back and use it to guide your future endeavors and your future job searches, it'll really help you.
Right. Well, and I mean, as we talked about earlier, when he gets to that experiences and understanding your accomplishments and roles, and it just having everything in one place is very helpful.
Yeah, and that's the major benefit of Career Companion. It's like everything about your career all in one place. Then you go to the job details, and this is what I think is really important to manage, like, what are the team information, and then when you're starting on the job and when you're leaving the job. So team information helps you be in more tune with the people around you and who you're working with and who's your manager, if someone's reporting to you. And then, like all reflections, you should start each job with, what am I excited about? What does success look like for me? What do I want to achieve in this job? And when you leave, reflecting on, why am I leaving? What could I have done differently? What did I learn? And what do I want to take with you? What do I want to take with me to my next job, right? So really taking the time, I would say like 10-15 minutes when you're starting the job and 10-15 minutes when you leave the job to jot down some key points here.
Perfect.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's smart.
And then finally, goals and reviews. So in most companies, you're going to have your career goals, which are things that are like part of your full career. But then you're going to have specific goals that you have to achieve for your job. And the larger the company, the more structured this process is. The smaller the company, the less structured this process is. So
Right.
again, you really have to own your career, and you really have to own, like, okay, what are my goals for this job? What am I trying to achieve in what time frame? And where am I with that, right? So for each job, you can add in a goal. And then every time you get a performance review, again, you have to log that information, right? So I got a review on March 30th by my peer and my managers, and I logged all the great things that they told me and all the areas of improvement. And this is something that I can carry with me and use at all times in my career, because it's right here, easily available to me.
Right. Yeah. Because once you leave a company, you also leave behind all this valuable information.
Exactly. So unless you don't take the time to actually take that information and put it in a place where you can go back to it all the time, it's gone.
Yeah. I love it.
So that is the job CRM, right? So you're fully like managing all the way from interviewing and applying for jobs to like reflecting on the job, to like your goals and your performance reviews for the job.
Very cool.
So interviews, usually a hot topic. This works just like how the career questions work, which is I have probably 300 plus common interview questions in here, and you can just drag it. And what I suggest is, in some places, I've put like a full paragraph. In some places, I suggest just coming up with like 2-3 key points that you want to hit when you're answering that interview question. And so you can be like, what are some of your career goals? And you can say, what, I have a few goals. One is to launch a product. Second is to grow a team. And third is to be a product leader, right? So you can just take the time to actually think through these common interview questions instead of just like winking it when you get the question.
Right. Exactly.
And you can't prepare for every single interview question you're going to get, but if you've prepared and have been thoughtful and structured about a set of them, that natural structure is going to happen when you're asked those curveball questions, right? So you're kind of training your brain to be a structured thinker and to communicate effectively in your interviews.
Wow.
So and then this part in career question.
There's a lot of stuff here. How long, it popped in my head, so I'm going to ask it. How long has it taken you to put all this together?
So I think I started thinking about this in like October 2017. And then I was like, actually, funny story, I was going to build a journal out of this, like, one of those passion planners. And then as I was researching it and learning about it, and I had put a lot of this content together for that, and just in a month, right? I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it in a journal, and then it hit me. I'm like, come on, honey, we're in 2018. Who's gonna buy a journal and write all this information? Needs to be interactive. It needs to be easily available, easily updatable. And so I was like, let's go with a web platform, and it took me 3 months to develop.
Wow. Now, did you do it yourself?
No, I have some support.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. There's so much information here, things that people need to know when they get into this career management mode. It's just impressive you've been able to pull it together so quickly.
Another interesting thing about this interview readiness portion is I have broken it down in 5 categories, right? So when you go into an interview, they ask you a lot of questions, and I would say it usually falls into these 5 categories, or 4, but a 5th one if you're applying for a manager role. So there's stuff about you, like who you are and what are your goals and values and what do you like to do. Then there's like behavioral stuff, which is like describe a situation when you used a skill, or describe a time when you had to change a position and how you dealt with it, or describe a project, right? And these are actually the more determining factors of your experience and what you've done, and if you'll be able to do the job or not, right?
Right.
Then you have technical questions, which is like actual, like what development tools have you used, and where have you automated some tools and processes, and how did you do that? Then you have if you're applying for a manager or leader role, you're going to get a lot of questions which are like, how do you interview people? How do you hire people? How do you delegate? And you really have to prepare for these, right? This is something that you may do naturally. And it's really interesting, especially in interviews. I've seen this. I've done like 300 plus interviews. You look at a resume and you're like, wow, you've been doing this for 15 years and you really know what you're doing, based on your resume. And then you talk to them and you're like, I just don't know, because you're not able to communicate it well to me. Right? It's not just about doing something, but it's also being able to communicate what you've done and how you did it in an effective way. And I may be like beating the word effective with a dead horse here. But like you could have built this amazing product, but if you cannot explain how you built it and the benefits of it and how you did it, it it kind of loses its purpose a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
matters
also
less.
same thing in your interview. You may be like super good about interviewing people and hiring them, but if you can't articulate why you're good about interviewing them, you're not going to get that job.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then finally, company and role. And this is where you have to like really prepare about what do you know about the company? What are you looking for in this role? What is your salary expectation? Why should we hire you? How do you stay informed about this specific company that you're hiring for, right? Have you been reading our news and our blog? So all these things matter because people want to know that you really want to work for that company and you're going to stick around and you're going to stay there for at least a couple years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and grow within that company and not just job hop. And so you really have to like be in tune with yourself, like, okay, I really want to work for this company and here's why. And so there's a set of questions that you may get asked about that, and this helps you prepare for that.
Wow, super smart.
Yeah, thank you. So that is the interview portion. So the skills portion, couple things here. One is career competencies. So career competencies are basically like your skills that you have that help you do your job. And in more large companies, there's a much more structured process about, depending on what job role you're in, what are the competencies that you should have at what level. And then the more startup-y world, you may not have that. But in a larger company, these competencies define promotions, right? There's a thorough process they go through, like, okay, Honey has displayed these 5 competencies in this manner, which means that she's ready for a promotion for this role. And those competencies, I would say, are like 75% determining factor of the promotion. Yeah. And so you have to, one, take an inventory of like, what am I good at? What do I want to be good at? And things that you don't care about, which you don't have to worry about, right? But there's a list of, I want to say, about 75 to 100 competencies in here. And you can be like, you know what? I'm really good at gathering insight. I'm really good at planning and organizing. I'm not so good at maybe sociability, or I'm not so good at maybe my learning ability. And I'm okay at leadership of group or being attentive to details. So this gives you a definition. I have a pre-configured definition of competencies, but you can change it depending on the way that your company has defined it or the way you've defined it. And then you can add notes about how you are good at this competency or how you can improve your competency in this.
Right. I like it.
So that is your competencies.
Yeah, another thing that a lot of people don't think about until it's time to go interview somewhere, for example.
Or it's time for a promotion and they're like, hey, you really need to display these 5 competencies, and you haven't even thought about what your competencies are.
Right.
And honestly, if you like, so for example, if you're in product management and you're going to be in product management for the next 5, 6, 10 years, you don't want to just be good at writing user stories. At the beginning of your career, you want to be good at writing basic user stories. But as you advance, you want to be able to write user stories that are compelling and that are comprehensive. And so that journey will break from job to job. But when you're managing that competency in here, and you can add in competencies just like everywhere else, and you'd be like, you know what, I need to be able to write user stories. Yeah. And for you, that means a certain thing, articulating product requirements. Right? Now, this is something that you may go from average to good to excellent. Now, managing that for a specific job is not going to help you. Managing it here, which is evergreen and holistic and with you forever, you can manage that here, right? You can be like, okay, I was average at this at one point, but now I'm excellent at it. And that journey you have documented for yourself, and you can portray that in each of the jobs that you show up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
So those are career competencies. And then the last thing that I'll show you is career tools and resources, because I do believe that these are valuable and important. Yeah. So I've compiled a library of all the tools that are available for you. A few career companion picks that I think are awesome. Asset and interview tools. So if you're preparing for a resume, if you want to do a mock interview, Gainlow, is good for that. Leak Code is for like technical interviews. These are external tools you can use. There's probably 100+ blogs about careers, and so those are all in here, so you can easily go to them and check them out. When you're looking for a job, I've put the main job boards here. There's a lot of emphasis now on bootcamp courses, like General Assembly and 30 Weeks and Academy X, which in a very short time period, they help you become a starting expert into something. So if you're exploring like becoming a user experience designer, you can go to General Assembly and take like their 12-week user experience course. And there's a lot of tools like Coursera and Lynda and Udemy, so you can easily access those from here. And then finally, organizations. These are more nonprofit organizations for mentorship and guiding people, and so you can explore that a little bit too. And I'm constantly refreshing this. So my goal is to like get everything you need for your career all in one place, right? That is the mission I'm on.
Yeah, I found that section actually really cool and helpful, because there's a lot of stuff in there that people won't or don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just selfishly, I was looking at, okay, who else on the tools parameter should I be talking to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a few in here.
Yeah, I really like this. I think this is very useful.
Yeah, and so that I have a few other things that are coming. Values, so that because as you become a leader, values become extremely important, especially in like a coaching session. The first thing you'll do is determine your values. And so that's going to be coming soon, and it's going to be very similar. You can pick from a list of values. I have there's career assessments, so you can take personality assessments from here. When you attend events, you can these are really, really important to as part of your career development. So you could be like, I'm attending this event, and when you actually say I was testing with it, you can like say, okay, before the event, again, just like a job, before going to the event, you can be like, my objective is to meet 10 people and to learn these 5 things. And then after the event, you can reflect like, okay, I met these 3 people and I learned these 10 things.
Which is very timely for me, because for the next 2 days I'm going to a conference. So
yeah, so you can add in all your conferences in here and keep track of them.
Perfect.
Same thing with people and mentors, right? We have a lot of mentors in our life, and so Andy is one of mine, and so you can keep track of the mentor, their profile, how you met, some notes, and then every time you meet with them, you can log your meetings and be like, okay, we met here and we talked about my goals, and he gave me some feedback and some guidance. And so again, it's a lot of just tracking information and experiences that you're going through in your career and tracking it as a mechanism to learning from it.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, holy cow, you've put this together in like 9 months.
Yeah.
Talk about somebody who doesn't just talk, but is doing work. Wow. Kudos to you. This is very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm just, I think I want to say 6 months. I want to take less than 6 months, and I still have like so much more coming. Technical skill. There's so much more coming that I really want to make it available. And now I'm just working on getting the word out so more people can use this to manage their career.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's my intent. I want to help you get the word out on this. I think this is a very cool tool that people can and should use to help them manage their career. There's so much stuff you've thought of that even as you were going through it, it hadn't occurred to me, but yet the importance of knowing and tracking it just is like, it makes sense after you see it. You're like, yeah, I should be doing
that. Yeah. And that's the doing part.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So speaking of doing, is there anything else that, before we wrap up here, is there anything else, any advice, information that you would like to hand off to anybody who's watching the video today, that they should be out doing themselves?
Yeah, I just want to say, so you really have to truly own nobody's going to do it for you. Think of it as you're the CEO of your career. And so you have to manage all aspects of it. And just remember the 3 E's model we talked about, right? You're going to explore opportunities and who you are, and then you're going to build and establish the experience around it, and then you're going to evolve. And that cycle is going to keep going. And I hope that this tool helps you get through that cycle. It drives career happiness for you, and happy to support any way that I can. Just reach out from the website, and happy to provide any guidance that I can to help you drive career happiness.
Awesome. Well, honey, I definitely appreciate your time today and sharing this awesome product with everybody. Hopefully, everybody that's listening will go and check you out. It's at careercompanionship.com. And everything you need to get in touch with Honey or even to log in and get registered in the product, it's all there. So head on over to careercompanionship.com. And I thank you again very much for your time.
Thank you, Ryan. I really
Taking time
appreciate
with us today.
it. Bye.
Bye-bye.